I am the internet, and I like it when KSSU is on me.
Heyo! This is the Matt and Tex Show, live on KSSU.com. I can't hear things. There we go.
One of your earphones is out.
That's true. Also, I think this little splitter here is broken. Anyways, welcome. I am Matt.
I am Tex.
Today on the show, we've got a lot to talk about.
Definitely, indeed. Our shows are starting up slowly but surely. House of Cards we've been waiting for. We're going to talk about that. Titanfall beta
beta
went open.
Open for basically anyone with internet.
Well, on Xbox One, PC still.
PC's still working on it.
Yeah, it should be out soon. But Matt and I have both played it, and I've been quite critical of this game lately. And we'll talk about what I think of it. Was it worth the criticism? Was it worth the hype?
There's been criticism. I haven't read anything.
No,
really
I've been critical about it.
Oh, you have?
Yes, I have. And there's been.
We'll talk about it. We got a lot to talk about on that. It's very different. I got a lot of new music. Actually, today is a exciting day. Phantogram's album Voices is out now. Came out at midnight this morning, if you'll call it that. Question: can you hear the microphone in your headphones?
Hello. Yeah, I can hear my own
voice. You can hear it?
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't hear anything. That's cool.
Maybe you switched the jacks because...
You're jacks. Anyways, Phantogram's new album Voices is out. I played a bunch of the songs that are off it. They've been releasing EPs within the last couple months, so I probably played 50% of the album already on the show. But there's a couple other songs that aren't on there, and I was lucky enough, there was enough time on my commute here from school or from home to school that I listened to the entire album. Really enjoyed it. I'll play a song from that. But first, I'll play one of the first songs I heard from them on their very first album to kind of give you a idea of where they've come from, where they're going. It's quite interesting. Also, they'll be here in Sacramento this Friday. The more I listen to this new album, the more I am excited about going to this concert. They were locally in the area maybe 2 years ago, but it was in like San Francisco or Oakland, and I didn't want to make the trek out for there. Luckily, now they're going downtown. And I will be there. Bought my tickets months ago, hoping to get there early and get in the front row. So we got that to do. I don't know where you want to go from here, Tex, but I think I'm just going to play the next song. First song.
Sounds good. That's what we usually do.
Don't you mock me. This first song is that Phantogram song. The first album they had was Eyelid Movies. I picture that. Eyelid Movies. Are you thinking either movies that are projected onto eyelids, or are you thinking of a movie that just only shows eyelids?
I thought of an eyeball without an eyelid.
Okay, so none of the above. This song is called Let Me Go. Enjoy that. We'll come back. We'll talk about Titanfall. We got a lot to say. This is Matt and Tech Show. Let Me Go, Phantogram, off their first album, Eyelid Movies. Their newest album, Voices, is out today. Honestly, I'm going to let it stew a little bit. Sometimes I get premature with some albums. Sometimes I don't let albums stick long enough for me to enjoy. This one off the bat, I'm loving it. If you haven't picked it up, grab it. It's on Play Store, Google. We haven't got it here in the studio yet, but once we do, I'm reviewing it and get my volunteer hour for it. On iTunes, anywhere music is available, go get it. If I go to the Dimples and I find a vinyl, I'm buying the vinyl.
YouTube, just rip it.
YouTube comments, no. There's many ways to get it, and I suggest you buy it. It's really, really enjoyable. You'll hear a new song from that coming up next. But first, Trevor texted me a couple days ago.
Executive producer
Trevor. Who really doesn't do much for the show.
He's the executive producer.
He is. But anyway, he texted me and he asked me if I had acquired a certain beta code for Titanfall.
Oh yeah.
A game I was kind of aware of before with kind of the release of the Xbox One.
Yeah, I saw on the news like apply for the beta now, and I'm like, might as well.
I didn't know what it was. I didn't look it up, and I didn't know what it was for. I didn't know how betas worked for consoles, but I knew kind of how betas worked for PCs. So I said, do I really want to download on PC? One, my PC can't handle too much. I can barely run DayZ. Can I run a really, really next-gen game?
Yeah, you just send them an email and they'll say,
here's a code.
Depending, they'll say, we'll give you one, or they'll say, we'll consider it. I did one for Strike Vector, which was a guaranteed one. I just emailed. They're like, we'll give you a beta. And I played that. It was fun. So I emailed
Star Wars one I played.
I didn't expect to get selected, and I didn't. But apparently, executive producer Trevor got a code. You could choose either for X1 or for PC, but then I heard it's going live, open for everybody.
The next day, the day after you text me, all of a sudden you text me saying, "Hey, get the Titanfall beta," and it was literally on the home page of your Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
Download the free beta for Titanfall. So I did.
Before we talk about what we actually think of the game, I've been very critical of a lot of the games that people are looking forward to. Titanfall being one of them. Sleeping Dogs. Watch Dogs, that's it.
Watch Dogs, yeah.
Sleeping Dogs is a company. Yeah, Watch Dogs, I've been critical of that too. And there's one more. Oh yeah, the one made
Destiny?
by Destiny. Yes.
You have been very critical of all three, yeah.
Yes, I have. And maybe critical is not the word. Skeptical, I think, would be a better word. It's just because from what I've seen, and this is what I've heard a lot of people say, it looks like Call of Duty. And that was my problem, too. And
Titanfall?
Yeah, Titanfall. Looks like Call of Duty. And that was one of my complaints. And after playing a little, I realized maybe that wasn't fair to say that's too broad, because I've enjoyed Call of Duty before. I love Modern Warfare, the original one, Modern Warfare 2. But Call of Duty has been, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people too, slipping, if not sliding, in quality. And so that's what I didn't like about it. It looked like that, and I'm like,
I got the same impression when I was playing through Titanfall. One, it's a beta. I don't know how much graphics can improve from beta to out of the box, but
the graphics for the Battlefield 4 beta were significantly better.
That's true.
The actual game than the beta was.
A lot of the objects in there were simply just simple polygons. There's a lion that you'll see throughout some of the maps on Battlefield. That lion there's really nothing on the beta. We'll see how much improves. And then someone I saw on Kotaku or something, someone had launched in PC and had the full resolution. It was 14K or 4K resolution on it. So it's there, but I see what you're saying with the Call of Duty. Some of the shapes, some of the objects, some of the color schemes, and then I was thinking even some of the gameplay.
Yeah, the feel of it. I noticed this is one thing I point out, is that when you run in Call of Duty, it looks a certain way. When you run in Halo, it looks a certain way. When you run in Battlefield, it looks a certain way. And they're all different. Mm-hmm. You all run and you move the gun back and forth, but there's a certain feel to that, and that's what I really honed in on for all three games. And I just, this feels a little too similar. Another thing I didn't particularly enjoy, the parkour aspect. I thought it would be.
Well, let's actually break this down. We haven't really explained this. For those that don't know, Titanfall, the word Titan is in there. Titan actually refers to these kind of mech machines. Mm-hmm. It's a futuristic sort of warfare. These big machines that you as a player can either choose to go in or not. And if you go in them, you basically you control this machine that has weapons and stuff like that. But a lot of the aspect of if you're not in that machine is a parkour. You have a small little jetpack. Mm-hmm. If you're thinking of Battlefield, one of those droids that have a short burst, not like a Jango Fett that can hold in the air for a while, but one of those just a farther jump, higher
regular jump, double jump, and you can run on walls, jump off them, and you can jump up on almost anything if you do it right. You can run along walls, up walls, walls. I'm saying
on tops of roofs. Yeah.
Yeah.
You really don't want to play on the ground now.
No, and that's
gameplay.
That's one of the things. But my criticism for that was that it took, again, I'm comparing it to Call of Duty. It took me back to Modern Warfare 3, where there was no front line at all. You couldn't tell where the battle was. Anyone could appear from behind you. Yeah. And that's what I didn't like. That's one of the things I loved about Battlefield, is that the lines were pretty clear in where you were, and you had to fight along and fight hard to move past that. And I enjoyed that challenge, especially playing with other players. I really enjoyed that, and I didn't like the way they did Modern Warfare.
Question: have you played in Titanfall? There's a couple different maps, or not maps, but missions.
Game types.
I've only played one of them, where you basically just capture the A, B, and C.
Yeah.
The more
hard point.
Hard point. The more you capture, the longer you capture the bases, the more points you have. Have you played any other mission types to see how they feel as far as frontline or?
No, I've only played Hardpoint, and in all fairness, that one sort of, the map constantly changes. But getting into now the actual gameplay and how I enjoyed it, I didn't feel what I was worried about. I didn't feel that there was. I mean, I ran around a lot, but there was one clear objective, or three of them, 3 flags, and I always felt that you were running and you could expect where the enemies were coming from, and what I was worried about didn't occur, at least in that instance. So I was happily surprised there. My overall view of the game, just in general, real quick, is I actually really enjoy it.
So far, he's liking it.
Yeah, it was really cool. I just wasn't sure how the Titans were going to fit into.
Yeah, I'm not a big mech guy, like one of those big mech warriors where I love that.
I love mechs.
But this was all right. I like the feel of it. I love the idea of getting out of it and playing that sort of aspect. You can't always be in your big mech. You can't be always be in your big Titan.
You have to earn them.
You have to earn them, and they will be destroyed if you don't play well pretty quickly.
Yeah, the Titans are incredibly balanced. You come in, and I think for everybody there's about 3 minutes and 30 seconds to get a Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you get kills, get scored, then that time goes down faster. When you call it in, it drops in, and you can get in it. I would think that it would be pretty overpowered, and that's one major concern there. But they actually make them really easy to kill by other Titans and also by players. I mean, I learned they call it rodeoing, and I don't like that because it doesn't roll off the tongue. But you can just...
For you.
Yeah, for me at least. You can jump onto them as a player. You open this hatch, and then you just start shooting inside the hatch, and it does a lot of damage. And in order to get you off, the pilot has to come out and kill you. And then
or one of your friends
else
on the outside. Yes, and I've done that once, and then I died. But it's a different aspect of it, because sometimes you are worried, like, I don't have my mech, but there's a mech here. You have some rockets. Those are only somewhat effective.
Yeah.
But what else can I do? And by rodeoing... Now I'm lost. By rodeoing, on back of the mech, you can kind of destroy it quite a bit by opening up that panel. So yeah, it's something it's quite exciting. A lot of my friends already have it. Some coworkers already have it. We'll see how much it develops. At this point, I haven't decided whether or not I would buy it once it is out and actually released, which is coming up next month.
I'll most likely buy it for two reasons. One, I enjoyed it. Second, a lot of other people enjoy it, and a lot of our friends enjoy it, and even if the game isn't that good ultimately, playing with your friends always makes it better. And if it's one game that we all get, it's still going to be a lot of fun. Another thing they've done in this game that I love is they put a lot of, I'll call them little things in there that just make it so much more, not aesthetically pleasing, but just nice. For example, at the end of the game, when you lose, all of the games we played before, timer goes out 0, boom, victory or defeat comes across the screen, everyone stops. Not in this one, at least in this game type.
Yeah.
And, when you lose, it says defeat across the screen, now retreat. You have to actually run back to a drop point and get picked up while the enemy's chasing you. And at this point, if you die, you're dead.
This is one of the more exhilarating parts of the game.
Yes,
you have a timer that this ship is going to land and then leave.
Yeah, it's got a minute total, like 30 seconds to come in, and then another 30 seconds it'll leave.
Yeah.
And you have to get there. And the enemy's chasing you.
And then even once you get there, they can destroy your ship.
Mm-hmm. You just jump inside the ship, and you're like, come on, let's go. And you see all the shooting. You see, like, the little polygons of the shields popping up of the ship. But I've seen it been destroyed before.
Yeah, I destroyed it the last game I played. It's one of the more rewarding parts of the game is when you get in that ship and you're like, I made it. And you're either the one or and some other guy in the ship are the only one that made it out.
Yeah, and it makes a point. If you successfully leave, the ship isn't destroyed, and you get there, it says these guys were rescued. And one game, Matt and I were the only ones that made it to the ship.
And you get quite a bit of points for it too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite fun. Yeah.
And then on the other side, being like, they got to get to the ship. I got to get there first and chase them. And I've gotten there before, and I'm just like, oh, I got you. You're not getting away. It was really fun.
Whole different aspect. We haven't seen that before.
Yeah, and it's not at all a major part of the game.
No.
But it's just this little thing that makes it more enjoyable, more fun, more pleasing.
We'll have to play the other game types to see if that's in there, but I think it's something that's kind of a Titanfall thing, so I'm assuming it's going to be part of most of the games. If not, the same idea, a similar concept.
Another thing they've added that bots have always been in games before, but not really... Unless you're playing... Counter-Strike has done this before. You add robots in with real players.
Yeah, unless you're playing campaign. There's really no AI.
Yeah, and so they drop a lot of grunts. There are two levels. There are grunts and there are specters. And the grunts just follow around. Their AI is incredibly dumb. If you get killed by one, you are horrible. Because I've sat there for a little bit and they're pointing at me and they still haven't killed me.
They're like, freeze!
Yeah, they're dumb. The Spectres are robots, and they're a little bit more advanced. They're harder to kill, but their AI is still pretty dumb. And I don't know if they're going to tune that up or not.
See, for one, the game is somewhat so intense that I'm not even sure a lot of times who's who. I just shoot and kill.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an actual... Is there labels above the characters that say...
Yeah, it says IMC or Militia Grunt.
Oh, it'll actually give them the title.
And it'll say Spectre, above them. And one thing that I thought was cool is they speak a lot, like, oh, enemy here, oh, we're moving over here, don't let them take it. one time I heard them say, because they call you soldiers, they call pilots because you all pilot Titans, so they're not called soldiers. They say, oh, pilots are coming in. And I heard one of the grunts say, oh, he's a pilot, get out of the way. They're on a much bigger level, watch them. And they're just like, hey, I feel pretty good about myself, even though it was just a computer that said that I'm this elite soldier.
One question I had on the game, and we'll wrap it up pretty quick, but one question I had was whether or not there would be a campaign. In this beta, you can only play online. There's only 2 maps. I don't know if there's a campaign that goes along with the full game. Tex, I don't think you
No, I've read everyone saying, and I've read a couple things that say, no, this is a solely multiplayer game.
Really?
So
is that the first of its kind, other than like PC?
That I can even on PC that I can think of, except for like indie games or smaller games. This is a huge, big budget game.
Right.
But I've been reading a lot of the comments, people saying, I don't know if I want to spend $60 in a game that's only multiplayer. I'm like, was the single player needed in Battlefield 4? In the last 2 Battlefields, the single player's been off.
90-95% of your gameplay is spent in online.
So how much more are they going to be able to add? We've already seen these little things that haven't been added in other games before. So how much more is going to be added in or allowed in by not wasting time or development on a single player campaign? I think it'll be really interesting, and maybe at some point they could integrate a story, or maybe they
within online
through online. Yeah,
I think Halo tried doing that in a sense. There was a story that went along with some of the online plays with the Halo 4, which I never got into. The
Spartan missions. Yeah, I only watched those because they had cool movies at the beginning.
They were quite cool.
That's all I watched.
But yeah, so that's interesting, and that may bring up a point. Was can they charge $60 the full game amount? When in most games that come out, you're expecting both an online and a campaign mode. If you're only getting half of that, though most of your gameplay may be online, can they charge that full $60?
And now that they're starting that, a lot of other companies are probably going to start, if it's successful, or if not, they'll perfect the model and eliminate single player entirely, perhaps.
Interesting thing
could be a bad thing for some. For some story, there's still going to be single-player only games like BioShock, which has a small aspect of multiplayer, but the
like
focus
an Assassin's
is
Creed. I'm playing Assassin's Creed now. There's an online bit. I haven't touched it, and I don't plan to. At this point, there's nothing dramatically amazing about online that sets it apart from anything else, or that makes me want to stay in it for hours.
Yeah, so I'm happy to say I'm pleased with Titanfall from what I've seen, and for being a beta, I don't find many flaws.
I've only seen one bug where one of the guys I was shooting at froze for a second. His actual character moved away from the area, but the on my screen it glitched out and he froze there, and then he disappeared and he was already down the map. Yeah. That was the only thing I've seen, but that's something you'll see in live games.
Yes.
So it's out still, I believe so, on your Xbox One if you have it.
And should be coming for PC soon.
Should be coming for PC. It's a PC Xbox One exclusive game. Can't get it on PS4. Sorry, Tyler, my brother. But yes, it's quite fun. The game should come out. I think I saw the date was March 11th. So the beta will close before then. So get it and get some practice in if you want to buy the game, so you can be above everyone else once they buy the full game. We'll jump right into the next song. Actually, an interesting thing I saw online. Somebody posted it. There's a page I liked that said. It's a page I liked a couple years ago. The title of the page is something like, "We want Star Wars Battlefront back," or something along those lines. And it was basically the small campaign that people created. It started building up buzz of ideas of Star Wars Battlefront and stuff like that. It was only released until a couple months ago.
Is that coming out this year?
There's no date on it, as far as I know. I'm assuming it's hopefully going to come online with at least before the new Star Wars films come out in 2015, but who knows?
Yeah. One quick thing, I go on a lot of Reddit, Imgur, all these things, and just a quick explanation. It's pronounced Imager, is just a page with a bunch of squares, thumbnails that are just a bunch of pictures. And normally when someone dies, it'll show their face, and then you click on it, see the title. Oh, rest in peace, Shirley Temple. She died recently.
Yep.
And there was one of John Williams, and my first reaction was, "Oh my gosh, did John Williams die? Please don't tell me he died." I clicked on it, and I opened it up, and I forgot what it was saying. It wasn't that he died. It was like, this guy's great or something like that. And at the bottom, first comment was, "Oh my God, I thought he died."
We don't want him to die before the films are made. The films are
John Williams is part of Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. But anyways, this page that I like on Facebook, they posted a link to an image that someone had found of. It's very hard to see, but it's storyboards of the newest films. So there's like the art director. There's Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilms now, and behind them is sort of a vague, blurry idea of some concept art. Only thing I can make out of it was sort of a barren landscape that looks somewhat like the Grand Canyon, more deserty, less green, and then next to that was an image that I could make out was the Millennium Falcon.
Ooh.
But that's all I could see. It was in space, but I don't know what was near any sort of thing.
And then again, these might not make it in.
Exactly. They're just ideas. I love concept art. I'm a big fan of concept art.
Concept art is
beautiful.
Amazing.
It's beautiful. I really, really like to get into it, but I have not. We'll jump right to the next song now. And we'll probably go right to the next song after that, but because we've got our Star Wars quiz to do after the 30. But Howling at the Moon.
I was howling without howling.
Tex was howling in his head, but with his face. Off the new album from Phantogram, Voices. Like I said earlier, this is the album to get. I haven't been excited for any recent bands and albums except for this one. So I'm really excited about it. And they're coming to town, so I'm even more excited. Howling at the Moon from Phantogram, Voices. Get the album today. If you like what you hear here, buy it. This is the Matt and Tex Show. KSSU.com. Well, then we'll do House of Cards. We want to talk about House of Cards today because we're really both into it. Tex has already seen the entire series. We can talk about it a little bit, but we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it.
All right. So we're waiting for House of Cards Season 2 ever since the first one ended with Frank Underwood, a ruthless congressman, he was betrayed. He was supposed to be Secretary of State. Then they decided not to make him Secretary of State and says, I'm just going to destroy this current administration.
I'm going to destroy the presidency and take anyone down that I need to.
And the first season ended with him about to be vice president. In the second season, he actually becomes vice president, and then he's just on a mission to still destroy the current administration.
He is, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's quite an exhilarating show. I love politics, and this is one of the first shows that I've seen, at least that I have seen. There's things like West Wing that I haven't watched because they weren't my generation, but this one's out now. It's one of those political thrillers that really get in depth. They show a different aspect of Washington that you kind of know exists, but this kind of just illuminates something that is probably, in some degree, a reality. But it's very exciting, very exhilarating.
Yes.
It's dark. It's a different antagonist than you think. It follows Frank Underwood, who you want to kind of win, but you kind of want him to lose.
It does the
it's just
bad guy.
So dark.
It's bad guy should lose, but he's clearly a bad guy,
yeah.
And I want him to win. At the end of the first season, there were a bunch of they highlighted a bunch of challenges that he will face in the upcoming season, and I says, I want Frank Underwood to win. I want him to destroy everybody else, even though they're good.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's seen the first 2 episodes.
Tex binge watched the entire series.
Yes, I've seen all 13.
And
they're each an hour.
You might as well post on the Wikipedia page for them because you're one of only a couple people that have watched the entire series in the short time you did. But if I had the time to, I probably would have. And I love the idea how Netflix has done that. They're doing it with all their series. Just throw it out at your leisure. Watch your own.
This is what people want.
Yeah,
they
watch it at your own time.
Marathon these things, so yeah. I love that they just released them all at once. So I watched them all, and they were great. It's really political, but it does it in a way where you can understand it.
Right, you don't need to know like every office of Congress or the White House to understand what's going on.
And if you don't know what they're talking about, like he at the beginning was the House Majority Whip, and you're like, I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. And then throughout what he does, he shows you what it does.
You learn his roles.
Mm-hmm.
You learn his role as a whip, yeah.
You go through the speaker. There's in this new one they did like I learned that there's a Senate chief of arms or something like that who can actually on the president of the Senate, the vice president.
Yeah.
He can order senators to be arrested and brought to Congress. And I looked at it. I don't think that's true. I looked it up. Wow, that's true. Mm-hmm. You could do that. We don't want to spoil it because spoilers in this show will ruin it in a sense because it's very thrilling.
Uh-huh.
But it is entirely... Frank Underwood is ruthless. He will do anything that he has to in order to achieve his goal. And we'll get into this later, closer to Game of Thrones, but I said this before that I think he and Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones are very similar, if not the same character in different eras, if you will.
Right, in different tones. So, but that's something we'll have to talk about more. But no, it's a great show. It's if you haven't found a reason to get Netflix, it is the reason to buy Netflix. There's a couple other shows on Netflix that are exclusive. The newest season of Arrested Development was somewhat of a reason, but
didn't it get canceled and Netflix picked it up?
Yes, it got canceled, and then 10 years later, Netflix said, "Hey, let's bring this back," and so they did. There's a show called Orange Is the New Black, which I haven't got into, but
I saw that.
In a lot of my film classes, people love it.
I thought it was really
for
good.
what it is, so it's on my list of things to watch. But yes, House of Cards is my definitely my favorite thing on Netflix at this time. Just it's well directed. It's beautifully lit. It's got this whole sort of aesthetic that seems really like a big HBO series as far as a budget and quality. And you pay $8 a month for a Netflix account, and it's got Kevin Spacey, who's a multi-rolled. He can play any role he needs to, but he plays this role.
Yeah, I've seen Kevin Spacey and such, and I didn't hate him, I didn't like him, but now seeing him play Frank Underwood, he did such an amazing job that I'm like, Kevin Spacey, love you, man. You did such a good job with this thing. It's again, we're only talking in broad strokes because we can't get into the depths of the spoilers. But
I think later down the road, the longer this has been out, within the semester, we'll probably talk more in depth about it.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this show, we're not going to spoil it. We're not going to spoil it for a couple episodes, but we want to spoil it. We want to get more in depth on the series. So if you don't want us to spoil it, get the series.
For people who've seen the first season, it's just as he's just as ruthless as he ever was. He's willing to go to such lengths. It is. I'm not sure if it was better than the first season, because it goes far in depth, but it's just amazing. Worth watching.
The first episode of season 2 is just one of those. Oh my god!
Yeah,
it's nothing you would ever predict.
It's one that'll make you click on the second episode as soon as the first one is done.
Unfortunately, I finished the first episode at like 1:30, and I had class the next day, so I said I can't stay up, but I immediately wanted to. More from House of Cards on the show another day. Let's jump to the right song. Right to the next song. I just dyslexic that sentence. My brother is in a band, Hideouts. I've played them a couple times. We play local music here at KSSU. We have a wall for it. Local doesn't just necessarily mean local in the area of Sacramento. Local kind of refers to any unsigned artist. My brother's band, Hideouts, is unsigned by no record label. They produce it all on their own, and this is the EP that is most recent. It's called Obsessed. I printed it out, if you will, on a disc, and I gave it to our local music director here. He'll listen to it, do his thing, and most likely put it on our local wall for other DJs to play. I also get some volunteer hours for it. But this is Hideouts. My brother's on drums, and all his friends are playing other instruments. This song is called Chasing Satellites. We'll go right to commercial after this, come back and do our Star Wars quiz. We're tied, yeah? Or we tied?
No, you are one above me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Chasing Satellites, Hideouts.
We can just sit here and look up just tonight. We'll have a lifetime. Are you dreaming? Are you dreaming? And when you do, am I there with you? We'll be so lost in love, chasing satellite. Are you dreaming? Are you dreaming? And when you do, am I there with you? We'll be so lost in love, chasing satellites, chasing satellites. We'll be so lost in love, chasing satellites.
That is the sound of Star Wars. That is the sound of Star Wars, and this is the Star Wars quiz.
I don't know. You always introduce John Williams in the London Symphony Orchestra. Or
You should know it's John Williams by now.
you should.
This is also the London Symphony Orchestra. I got it that time. I found this album online, and it's basically like 50 different songs from all the films. So I'm using it now for background music for our
Star Wars quiz.
Star Wars quiz. Last week, if you listened for the first time in I think Star Wars quiz history, I took the lead.
Yes, the standings currently. Matt has 6 out of 9 total questions. I have 5 out of 9 total questions.
By the way, this song is called Speeder Bike Chase and / Land of Ewoks.
Ah.
So you can set yourself there, episode 6 on the planet, or the moon of Endor, sorry. The moon of Endor.
All right. I went first last time, so I think I did.
You keep saying that, but we'll go with it. This one is from episode 2, which I recently watched, so I'm a little fresh on this. But
I haven't seen Star Wars in quite a while, actually.
I know, I should definitely have. I need to buy the full Blu-ray set, which we haven't had in stock at Best Buy in a while. But as soon as I see it there, I'll buy it. Though it's 80 or $90. Worth it.
It's in Blu-ray.
It's in Blu-ray.
gonna look
Super high
really
quality, dude. I know. I haven't seen. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm watching all mine on DVD, and it's like sad. Who owns DVDs?
I can't believe, real quick, how you go from Blu-ray and you're like, this looks so nice. You go to standard and like, why is it so fuzzy?
Yeah, it is. It's very strange.
It's amazing how much you don't notice.
Just
until
think
you have
we'll
something
place
there.
Blu-rays soon. Anyways, this is from episode 2. What, according to Lama Su, made clones preferable to droids? If you need help on who Lama Su is, let me know.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead and give me the answer, but I think I already know it. I think
A, they're more flexible.
clones can think creatively.
B, they cost less to create. C, they could think creatively. Or D, they were easier to train.
They could think creatively.
Correct.
I
Wow,
remember.
how did you I didn't even...
I haven't seen episode 2 in a long time, but look, I have to say it in the way they say it. That's how I remember things. He's like, clones can think creatively.
Right,
You will find they're immensely superior.
There wasn't a
to
lot of
droids.
dialogue in that scene, but it was so unique and just a whole like different look. Everything's white, and it just you see this whole different Camino, their side of Camino, and all that sort of stuff. It's somewhat of a memorable moment. Anyways, Texas currently at 1. If
right.
you count the points, he's tied with me right now.
Okay, your first question is from episode 1. How old was Anakin when Qui-Gon Jinn and Padme Amidala happened into Watto's junk shop?
You know, I was just thinking about this. I watched this. I watched episode 2 with my girlfriend, and she was asking how old Anakin was in episode 2, because he was his age at that point, which we were guessing, and then Padme, who he marries in that film, is much older, though she doesn't appear to age from episode 1 to 2, though he greatly does. So I was kind of questioning how old he was, and we'll see what you give us as answers, and I'll try and...
Yeah, because in the first one, he's just a boy and she's a woman.
She
girl.
appears to be...
But it's hard
she's
because...
queen of Naboo.
Yeah, the actors can be like 18, but they're portraying like 13-year-old queens.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how old was he in episode 1? Was he A, 7, B, 8, C, 9, or D, 10? Just 7, 8, 9, 10.
I was thinking he was either 9 or 10, because if you look at Anakin in episode 2, I'm thinking he's around 20, and I'm thinking within... And they say specifically, Anakin says specifically, I haven't seen Padme in 10 years.
Yeah.
So I know there's a 10-year time span between episode 2 and episode 1, but exactly how old he is, you know what? I'm going with my gut. I'm going with 10.
10?
He was 10.
That's wrong. It's 9.
Dang it!
So now we know he was 19.
See, that's
in
one of those things,
episode
like,
two.
you never know. No one's ever said 9.
Yeah, they might have.
They might. I don't think they... But maybe.
I think he did once, but I don't.
Do they have an idea of what age is in this other galaxy?
Yeah, what are years?
I'm 9 years old. Like, what year around our star system?
If we become the dominant
Or on orbiting,
species.
Or orbiting along the galaxy. I don't know.
Well, what? We're like we're not even 1 year
What I
old,
found
but-
interesting was they specifically... Padme specifically said human, and they described themselves as human. I found that interesting.
Did she say that?
She said that because she said something like, she was talking about how Anakin was angry about he can feel his mom being dead or something like that, or he was feeling her torture. I don't know. And she was like, it's human nature to feel that way. She said human nature, and I said, whoa, they're humans. Sorta.
Yeah.
And it's different.
They
Anyways.
speak basic.
What?
They speak basic, right? Isn't that the language called? It's called basic?
Maybe. I haven't heard that.
All
But
right.
anyways, episode 4 is your question, question 2, episode 4.
Mhm.
Who referred to Obi-Wan Kenobi as a crazy old man?
Luke's
I will
uncle?
give you suggestions. A. Han Solo. B. Beru Lars. C. Owen Lars. D. Darth Vader.
Owen Lars.
Owen Lars is correct. I first I thought Han Solo. Then when I saw Owen Lars, I was like, wait, maybe.
Yeah.
And when they're at, yeah, that
Right.
crazy old man. He also says something about wizard. He calls him a wizard.
Yes.
Crazy old wizard. Anyways, what I also found interesting, episode 2, you meet Owen Lars and Beru Lars.
Yeah, you do. At the very
It's
end.
one of those things I haven't seen episode 2 in quite some time, and it's something you kind of forget. Anyways,
And you're like, the future doesn't hold a great
right?
thing
And you
for
kind of think about, well, Owen Lars' father bought Anakin's mom. They got married.
Yeah.
Does that really count as marriage, and do they really love each other? Continue with your question.
All right. Second question from episode 6. Right? Yeah. Gosh, I can't read
Is it
Roman.
episode 6?
I always put it in Roman numerals. Who commanded the ship Home 1 in the Battle of Endor? A. Lando Calrissian. B. Admiral Akbar. C. Mon Mothma. Or D. Wedge Antilles.
I don't know the names of the big rebel starships, but if it's going to be called Home, I'm assuming it's the biggest one, which is actually one of the biggest ships in sci-fi history. Yeah, I've seen one of those charts where they kind of show size comparisons. There's a couple bigger ones, but the rebel fleet ship is one of the largest ones.
Really?
Also,
I've seen that chart, but I don't remember seeing.
I
Home
think it
1.
was. It's one of those ones. It's kind of a cylinder with a pointed nose, and it's have weird lobes all over it.
One of the biggest ones on there was the ship from Independence Day at the
Yeah.
very bottom.
Yeah,
It was skinny, but it was incredibly
it's quite long. Anyways, I'm gonna assume that's called Home 1.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna have you tell me, but if that is the case, I believe that would have been Mon Mothra was the
Mothma.
Mothma.
is Godzilla. enemy.
She was a Rebel Alliance leader, but Admiral Akbar was the admiral of the fleet.
So it's between those two.
Between those two, I'm gonna go with Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma.
That is wrong. It was Akbar.
Because a couple weeks ago you asked me a question about Akbar, like
Yeah.
something along that similar question, and so I figured the questions wouldn't come back to Akbar again. Man, so Tex, you're currently in lead.
All right.
Episode 6 is your last question. This one's a little doozy.
Doozy.
What was ST? This is from episode 6, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What was ST-321?
ST-321. I think I'm gonna need choices on that.
A code clearance. B. Darth Vader's shuttle. C. An officer's ranking. Or D. A docking bay on the Death Star.
I'm gonna go with Docking Bay.
False. I didn't know this either. It was Darth Vader's shuttle.
Really?
The shuttle, you know, the one that has
The
the
little
wings
one
that flaps?
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
I had a toy of that and I lost it and I was so upset.
You should, if you would have known, that was called ST-321.
All right. Your last question is from episode 6.
So right now you're up by 1, technically,
Yes.
and I could then bring it back to tie it. All right,
Good,
let's do
okay.
this. Let's do this.
What did Luke Skywalker ask Yoda when he returned to Dagobah? This is episode 6.
Yep.
A. Am I a Jedi Knight? B. Is the dark side stronger? C. Are you going to die? Or D. Is Darth Vader my father?
Yes, is Darth Vader my father?
That is correct.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
All
Back at
right.
it, baby.
So that's
We are tied up. This is a good game. Usually Tex blows me out of the water, but
because
we're
there's a lot
staying.
of quotes. That's why.
They're all quotes, and he's really good at that. So,
Again, I haven't seen Star Wars in a long time, and I still remember this.
And I have seen it more recently, except I haven't seen 3, though you have seen it more recent than I have because you borrowed my copy.
That's right. All right, so current standings. We're tied at 7 out of 12.
We both have... So we 7 out of 12 is our record, and we just have the same. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that is our show. I have no more music to play. We'll let Sparky take us out. I haven't found out... Tex, can you see through the window if MapQuest is in there?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found out yet if our KYDS rebroadcasts have happened yet, where our show gets recorded every day. I put it on Facebook.com/Matt and Tex. And...
Or Twitter.com/Matt.
No, it's not. I knew you were going to do that. It's like second nature. You hear that and you just blurt it out. Anyways, when I record it here, I put it on Facebook, but also we do a rebroadcast through our local affiliate, if you will call it that, KYDS, which is he might be walking in right now.
There he is.
Our local affiliate KYDS, which is on 91.5 El Camino High School broadcasts on FM. They rebroadcast our shows. They're a little delayed, a couple weeks. I just don't know whether or not our show has started yet.
So you'll get that info and post it on Facebook.
You'll get that info as I post it on Facebook. And if you don't want to wait for that, these recordings will be on Facebook.com/Matt and Tex. Just go to the live recordings tab. It'll play through the link. That is a YouTube video. Thanks for listening, guys. It has been fun. We will see you next week, same time, same place. KSSU.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search KSSU and save it to your favorites. We'll be here next week, Tuesday, bright and early at 9 a.m. Until then, enjoy some of this music.